Evisceradio. What's shaking, everybody? My name is Thomas, and welcome back to another awesome, excellent episode of Evisceradio. One of my favorite types of discoveries when I'm looking for great bands is to stumble across them when they only have one or two albums out and they're both equally fantastic. Like right out of the gate, they show tons of promise. They're delivering exactly what you're looking for. And while my guest today definitely is not new to the metal-making madness, I finally get to sit down with Sebastian from Aphelion, and we get to talking about Reaper Dawn, but we get to talking about it from a musician's standpoint. I really wanted to know where his headspace was at coming out of Moribund, going into this project, where his headspace was at while recording it, and what his reflections are on it after its release. I had a feeling from watching Sebastian's previous interviews that Reaper Dawn was not only an important record for him to do, but it was an important project for him to go through as a person. Apparently, he grew an awful lot through this one, and we get to talking about what that means in depth in this interview. And when you're sitting across from not only a stellar musician, but an insightful person as well, it makes for some super interesting conversation. This is definitely an episode you will want to check out. So without further ado, Sebastian, Aphelion. Yeah. Congratulations on Moribund being awesome and Reaper Dawn being awesome. Aphelion on the whole is just such a dope project to listen to. It's so much fun. I brag about it all the time to people who should be hearing about it, and you definitely know what's up when it comes to music like that.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course, man. I would love to pick your brain about Reaper Dawn a little bit, but I know you've been super, like, it's been covered in the past, and I don't want to risk asking, the same questions you might be answering. So I was hoping that I could maybe pick your brain on it from like a musician's standpoint, actually. And
absolutely.
I mean, yeah. And if it was if you wanted to go down this lane, to me, it seems that Aphelion is essentially like, that's your baby. That's like your passion project, right? Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, it is. It's what I have wanted to do for many years, and it's I mean it's creating something that one really thinks that. I mean, when we do Necrophobic songs, we have a contract, we have a big label, we have a different budget, and we are expected to do something that the fans will like. With Aphelion, it's more, I have more freedom to create exactly what I want. I don't really think about sales. I don't really have to think about the band having a legacy to carry on. I can do something new. Still, I mean, I write for both albums, so for both bands, so it will still bear my signature, but I don't have to think in terms of making it commercial for the kind of audience we have, and that gives me some kind of freedom, because I can let the songs go in whatever direction I want, and I have more freedom, really. And for me, I think it's a very important part of the genre of black metal and death metal, but especially black metal, that it should be about following your own will. And if you're trapped in a genre where people expect a certain behavior, a certain kind of songs from you, then I think that it's a contradiction to why you started from the beginning. And so I think for me, in Aphelion, I needed it to really do whatever I want,
Sure. Yeah. Interesting thought. You really had to let the reins out and sort of go into this project without any sort of restrictions. Did you feel like maybe it sounds like your kind of soul needed it a little bit, like it was time for this thing to go down, and eventually it worked out that way, and then you kind of hit the ground running with the first album.
Yeah, it did. And at the same time, I mean, I could take it even further away from the kind of music that people expect from me. But I think in the future, Aphelion will take a more be more adventurous and go even deeper in its own direction. Because I think when it started off, it was like a side project of Necrophobic, but I think in a couple of albums those will be totally separated. But you stand on a certain platform when you start to build, so to speak, and then you maybe have the same fundament that you go from. But I feel that there's no pressure of letting Aphelion be this or that. It can be whatever I want it to be. So it's like that. And it's not a solo project anymore, but it started as totally as my own thing. I wrote almost the whole first album by myself without any band members to speak about ideas with. So still, in a way, it's me behind the wheel, so to speak. But of course, I listen to the others, and of course, we take the decisions we do together. But in Necrophobic is probably more democratic than in Aphelion.
Yeah, that sounds right. You were coming into something with Necrophobic, and Aphelion is like that was ground floor.
Yeah, for sure. And I missed having a band because, I joined Necrophobic in 1996 and the band had been going for many years before. So I just filled in the shoes of David Parlan and I knew why they needed me and I tried to fill that role. So for me, I haven't started the band since the late 80s. So that was also something I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the first steps of something new. Really.
Yeah. Awesome. So I really enjoy hearing that. It sounds like the timing was right for you to do that. Was there a lot of build into Moribund at the beginning process, or like was all the pieces sort of ready to go for you before that? No.
I had some melodies and some harmonies that I wanted to explore, and I didn't know if I wanted to do black metal or progressive rock, or I just felt I need to build on this atmosphere. And I tried different stuff. I try like go more mellow on the guitars, and I even had clean singing in the beginning, but also what I'm really good at is playing extreme metal. Then it gets professional. So when I explored other ways to do this, it was really, it didn't really sound like something that someone else than me and my wife would like to hear. I still liked it. From the new album, the song "Further from the Sun" was the first. That chorus and that melody was the first thing I wrote for Aphelion back then.
Really?
And it was in a totally different context, but that it has an eerie feeling. But at the same time, it opens up and it got some hope in it, like dark hope. I cannot really.
I know where you're going with that. There's a weird catharsis in that melody that is just so profound.
It is.
I know the stuff that you might not have words for. I think I might be on some sort of level with that. I get that kind of connection with things that you can't really put a label to.
And that is something that I feel is hard to do with Necrophobic, because it's hard for me to explain to others we have to play it like this, or we have to be really careful with these fragile elements. That's not Necrophobic. We're just a train going, And so I tried different ways of pushing the feeling forth. And when I tried to do it, I wrote more and I added more like black metal drumming and a little bit more gain on the guitars. And then when I started to sing black metal vocals, then all the pieces came together. And I was a little bit disappointed on myself that I didn't believe in myself enough to do it more in a like progressive or even Pink Floyd way. It could have been done like that kind of atmospheric epic, but I didn't believe in myself enough with those tools, really. And that was a bit disappointing. So I was back in a place like, here I go again. It's the same kind of thing I've done all the time. But still, I felt that there were pieces to the puzzle that I hadn't explored before. There was a different flavor to it. It was it was not obvious, but it was there, and that was enough for me, because I could feel that this boat is steering in a different direction, really. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you hear there is something there that is different.
It works for me 1,000%. I stumbled across an Aphelion when Moribund first came out, and I knew that there was something unique here. And I won't go as far as to like gush and say your band's great and all that stuff, but there is something in there that I can't find anywhere else. And having listened to your to those two albums quite a bit, and going through like some interviews and stuff like that you've done, one of the things that I picked up on before you had come out and verbalized it in a different interview was something that you call brother riffs. And I see, so I'm a musician too, and I could write 10 songs with the same formulaic melody or riff. It all kind of has like, it comes back to a gravity of some sort. And you had mentioned on when we were speaking about Further from the Sun, I wanted to ask, and this is just a guess, but the end melody of I have this written down here. They fell under blackened skies, and the intro melody to Further in the Sun. Is that an example of what I might be thinking about? They sound so eerily similar to me, and they tie so well together.
Wow.
I mean, it's not the same note, but the way that they just it trickles onto each other is just, I don't know. It jumped out.
I have not thought of it like that, but when I work with an album, I work with the album as a whole. I don't work much with riffs, really. When I create the riffs, I create them to fill something in the whole atmosphere that I'm trying to create. It's very much. It was the opposite when I was 15-year old and I started to play guitar. Then I made tons of riff. We have this riff and that riff, and then we put it together like Lego in the rehearsal room, But it's the opposite now. I usually start the whole thing with a word or an atmosphere or something that I want to express, and then I create riffs that will fit that feeling. But I have not thought about those two as brother riffs, but they could be. But for sure, what is a brother riff is with Necrophobic, we have this song called Mark of the Necrogram. The lead melody in Mark of the Necrogram is a brother riff to the lead riff in Let the Beast Run Wild. Those are so similar that it's eerie, but they are in different keys, and they are made with different energy, but they are for sure, they could be in the same song. And if someone else had done it, if someone else had done the Let the Beast Run Wild riff, then I would say you stole this from Mark of the Necrogram. But since it's both my riffs, I can use the same stuff over and over again if I want to. And that's also why I kind of call it brother riffs, or because it's a continuation of something that I used before. I mean, it's like if you write books and you have a reference in a new book to something in the old book, So I think it's a cool thing, and maybe for those really nerdy, die-hard fans, they can follow the breadcrumbs, so to speak, which I lay out from old albums, So
I am that kind of nerd. I'm also a discography collector, so I will put the effort into, like, not only just get to know the person via like something like this, sit down, but like once I know that, I'm going to go through that with a fine-tooth comb, because it is like Easter egg stuff. It's super fun and it's interesting. It hints at personalities. Like, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad you answered that for me. That was really interesting. To dial it back just a second to the Moribund deal, in the spirit of talking about passion projects, like you did say that you had done that whole thing solo, or wrote it all solo, and then that came out, it did what it did, and then you're about to walk into Reaper Dawn. Was there something about the Moribund process? I think you had said earlier that you were just kind of like, fuck, here I go again. Like, there's some doubts and some things that might be going on in there. That being said, when you were going into your second project, Reaper Dawn, was there anything from the first sessions that you wanted to keep an eye on or improve on, or like possibly avoid in order to make the whole experience a bit more fulfilling for you? Because you do say, like, an Aphelion is your thing, and you want to feel as good as you can, and, you know, hopefully we all learn from mistakes and experience and all, et cetera, et cetera. But was there anything in that process that you wanted to do even better on the second run around?
Yeah, I mean, there were both good things and bad things. And I think for the parts of Moribund where I wanted it to be brutal or violent, it was not violent enough, you know, and
Okay.
it was not epic enough. I think the production, which I, at the time thought suited it really good, but it was not wide enough to really capture what I wanted to say. So that was something I think. Because we have been working with Frederick for so many years with Necrophobic, and he also produced Moribund. But
Mhm.
and he's a perfect producer. He's really good. But I think him and me, we have explored our musicianship together to the boundaries. We cannot go further, and I wanted to go further. So that was one thing, to find a different sound, really. And also, I didn't think I pushed myself with the guitar playing enough on Moribund, because now I had this opportunity to really express what I can do, and I have more abilities on the guitar than I normally show on albums, or at least than I show on Necrophobic. I can do so much more, and I
For great
felt I didn't.
musicians, you're usually like that.
Yeah, I didn't take it to the extreme, so that was something I wanted to do. And also, I realized that when I started to do the vocals for Moribund, I didn't really believe in it, but I thought, well, this goes okay. I have a great voice, but I don't have the best voice. But I mean, it's good. It's good enough for these songs, but like that. But then when that was finished, I felt, no, I can probably take this further. I can probably express the lyrics even better with my voice. I don't necessarily have to go into better techniques, but I felt that I can use my voice that is in some way fragile, but also quite evil sounding. And I felt I can take this further. And to me, that was something that I managed to do, at least to my liking, with Reaper. I think the voice goes better with the words, with the lyrics on Reaper. It's like a song like Agori. And I would
Yeah.
never have done that, like the beginning of it, like I did now. I would not have sung it like that on Moribund. So that was something that I wanted to push myself in both this, and I wanted it to take it in a sound wise in a different direction. So and you know, I started to write immediately before Moribund was released. I just continue writing. I always do it like that, and
Yep.
so I wrote. When all stellar light is lost, and the darkening, like weeks after the last song of Moribund was written. So I just kept on doing it. But already then, I had shifted in what I wanted to do, and also we were a band. So I decided this time I will not make all the calls myself. I will actually share my visions and my riffs and my songs with the other, and I will listen, you know, because otherwise I can
Man,
be like a
that
dictator.
takes balls, man.
Yeah. And so I decided that I will not, because usually when I do demos and I show them to you one and the others, and they are, maybe you should do that, then I start to explain myself. No, it's like this because I made a decision early on that I will step back. I will say thank you for your input, and then I will think about it a couple of days before I answer.
Right.
And that made a whole lot of difference, because it made me realize what ideas I really liked and what ideas I could not defend. And then I thought, if I cannot stride for this riff, then maybe Johan is right. Maybe he has a better way to do it. If I cannot come up with any reasons to keep it like it is, then maybe I should listen to the others. So it's still very much my effort, the songs, but I have done things that I could never have done without the others, without their input.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's a testament to like your patience with yourself, I would imagine, because you kind of have to put yourself in a space where, you know, I said that I said to me, I'm going to allow this room to breathe with others' opinions and feedback coming back to me. And then you move forward with that. I get that. I've shared ideas with people and then I have to immediately defend it. And it's almost like an instant rejection. So why ask them anyways? But like, you're giving yourself a lot of a challenge within yourself and room to grow by letting people in on your baby. Like that's a tough call. I'm curious to know, like, how often did that direction work for you on Reaper Dawn? Was there a lot of stuff where you're like, you know what, these guys are right, and then you rolled with that?
I was bits and pieces, but Marco had a lot of input on the drums that I wanted them to be in a different way, and parts here and there, and I decided, no, he's the drummer, I'm not the drummer. I will let it go. But also, I think I constantly think of why I want to be a musician. I mean, it started as a kid. I saw these albums and these magazines, and I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be like Steve Harris or Nicky Six or Motley Crue. I wanted to recreate that. But here I am, 52 years old, and I mean, that train is gone, so to speak. I'm still in the underground, and I realize, but I have to. Why am I doing this? And maybe it's not only for creating music. Maybe it's for growing as a human being. Maybe, and that is like, because I missed something when I did this as a solo project, and then I felt that why is this not fun enough? Now I can decide everything myself. This will sound just like I want, but still, there was no development within me. I didn't grow from it. It was a power trip or ego trip. But and one thing that I have a really hard time with is men in my age and older that know best. They all, if you ask them how to fix a motor, and you have 5 persons above their 50s in the table, they will all say, "Oh, only I can do it. You should do exactly." No, that's wrong, you know. And that kind of behavior I hate. And when I hate something, I have realized through life that I am like that. Usually, what I don't like in others is things I do myself. So this was also a challenge for me to break down what I don't want to be, and try to find another way. And I think maybe Reaper Dawn was very important for me, and it's also. I mean, the whole concept of the album has to do with sun worship. I mean, you see happiness, you see the sun. Of course, you want to go there, but maybe the answers are in the dark. And this is the same thing. My natural way is to go out in life and say, I do it like this and do a move. And this is finding the answers in the other direction. So I think as I wrote these lyrics and I started to practice what I preach, so to speak, you know, and maybe the songs are not the most important thing with Reaper Dawn. Maybe it is what I am today, 2 years after I started to write.
Man, it's less about the product and more about the process. Like I felt before sitting down with you and like just learning a little bit about what you were saying in other interviews, that this thing was kind of necessary. You can see the reflection in the way that you talk to people about this particular project and the way that you had said that you were super happy about it coming out. And I think it's not only just about how it sounds and the more communal efforts you put into its overall product, but like the way that like you've been saying, like you grew out of this, man. You're like a ×2 sort of person because of this, and you have more material and more substance to move forward in whatever your third in Aphelion or next Necrophobic project might be. Like the growth factor is super important in anything that you find yourself working on, and when it comes to stuff that is as fragile as your own music, in a sense of like being in control of it and that sort of thing. To be able to provide yourself with the means to be a better person out of all that just shows a lot of depth and character, and I'm glad that it is that way for you.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you put so much time into this. It has to be. You have to find some kind of meaning behind it more than doing just brutal songs, that it's I mean, still that is what we do with this kind of music, but to do this a whole life, because you sacrifice much, so many other things while doing it. I mean, I have 4 kids. I have a wife now. I had an ex-wife before, and I mean, there's so much time that I have put into the guitars behind me instead of these people, and it cannot be for nothing. It has to be worth something more than giving people brutal songs. And the, sometimes it kind of makes me sad when the only reaction is, "Oh, it sounds brutal," and I really try to express something, but I just have to try harder the next time, I think, because I cannot choose the reaction from people. But
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You're correct.
No.
Like you don't have to. I mean, you can't choose. I mean, you have no idea who's gonna interpret the music the way that they do. I mean, like I could have just been like Reaper Dawn is brutal, and you would have been like great, and then that would have been like a flat interview. No. But there are people out there who realize that there's something else lying in that stuff, or maybe they have like a trajectory in their own life that they can relate to, and the music, the melody, the lyrics, whatever the case may be, and like that can open the doors to this stuff. I mean, you get a lot of probably internet feedback being like, "Yeah, bro, it's woo," and that can be over, be a lot. But the people that want to understand truly, maybe not so much who you are, but what you mean, what you want to portray through your music, like that audience is out there. People who like to listen, really like to listen, like they're out there. I promise.
Yeah, there are, and the coolest thing is that the songs come alive, and what they do in other people, I cannot choose that, but still, when music moves someone, it really becomes an entity of its own, and that's a really cool thing, because I created this or channeled this music because I felt something, and it will make you feel something totally different, and that power that's pure magic. It's like it's crazy, really. It's really cool.
It's one of the. I'm all about frequencies and energy, and you never know where you can find it. Music is almost the best medium in which that stuff exists. The universe is alive, and one of its things is because music is out there. It's infinite in its own world, a weird way, and there's just so many interpretations of it. There's so many ways to create it and understand it, and it's as a blessing for sure. A lot of people get a lot of release out of that, not just listening to it.
That's also. I mean, that's why people get so upset about when they think there's a message in your music, how they interpret it. They feel it so strong, and if it's something that disturbs them, then they get angry about the creator. I mean, if you do monster movies, people don't really get upset with the director. But if you do music with a provocative theme, I mean, people go rampage about it. How can you do this? How can you write these horrible lyrics with all this? because it moves them so much that they cannot keep it together, and they don't have the perspective to think that maybe I meant something totally else, because they
Yeah,
feel
fair
it
enough.
so strong. Sebastian must mean it like I feel it, and
Sure.
it's really powerful. It's really cool, but sometimes it's also maybe a bit scary, or I mean, how people fight about what artists really have, what kind of thoughts we have behind the music. That, I mean, that's all over the internet, saying he's like that and he's,
Yeah.
you have no idea. You have just listened to the songs. You haven't been to the dinner table with me, having a normal conversation, without trying to speak about music or anything. So, but it's really, it's something else. Music, it's really cool like that.
I love it.
I
I'm
yeah. It was,
no, my bad. Go ahead, please go ahead.
no, I was finished there. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm a music fan through and through. It's pretty much all the exclamation point that I have to put on that. But you kind of took me back for a second. Have you been getting alarming feedback from fans, like that sort of sets you aback?
Nah, I wouldn't say. We have with Necrophobic through the years, of course, and within Aphelion, I don't find the lyrics really provocative in that kind of way. Necrophobic lyrics can be, and have been for sure, but I'm speaking about it, black metal as a genre, which upsets a lot of feeling more.
Okay, I
Okay, I
understand.
understand.
Interesting. Um, well, I'm glad we sort of we share similar ideas and theories behind the importance of music. It's really, again, heartening. I was looking forward to talking to you for a while about this.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. The Okay, so let me put you in a space for a second. Reaper Dawn is finished. You've walked into it with these particular missions in mind. Some to more successes than the others. You finished the project. It's come out. You're doing the interviews and everything. Looking back on that, like, has all the stuff that you wanted to keep tabs on going in worked out for the better? Are you looking for? Do you have any new missions personally when you're going into your third project, whatever that might be? Like the whole communal sending your band the riffs for their feedback seemed to be more not or like better, and it worked for like overall better as a growing person. Would that be the same thing moving forward? Do you want to let them have more room? Is there anything in the mix
Yeah.
from Reaper Dawn that you want to send down to your third album?
I mean, I, I'm actually kind of gathering the strength right now to really take the album number 3 in the direction that I would do if I didn't care about the listener at all. What kind of music would I do? But now I also have to have a band. Now I also have Marco and Johan and Tobias that I need to take with me on this journey. But I'm kind of sketching. Yeah, I have a couple of songs ready, and I'm trying to push the limits. I do demos that don't fall in the exact line of the previous albums, and I try to find a way. When bands switch direction and they do a total different album, then I don't like it as a fan. I don't like. I mean, Celtic Frost did to Megatherion, and then they totally switched for into Pandemonium. And as a fan, that is not a cool thing for me. I want to have more of what I already like, but as a
Right.
musician, I'm so much more inspired, really, by artists like David Bowie, who invented Ziggy Stardust and then killed him and then went to do something else. Or
Yeah.
even, not for the music, but for the person, Madonna, who invented herself over and over again during the career. And I think that it's that courage they have, or if they're not sane, I don't know. But I mean, they are
Both.
really commercial, and they just no. Now I will go this direction. So I'm kind of sketching on a path where I can keep the core or what I want as a fan to see album number 3 as a continuation, but also to put in elements that will steer it from it. So and how I will do that, if it will be with interludes or if it will be like They Fell on the Blackened Skies, that really are 2 songs. That's first one part and then it goes into a different song. I think that song, you can follow the breadcrumbs from that song into the next album. You know,
these are great answers.
Yeah, the whole ending of that is almost more like a goth epic song or something like that. This will not be a goth album, but I think I want more elements of maybe a little bit more psychedelic elements, maybe a little bit more Pink Floyd, and
cool.
I want to dare to do the repetitive stuff a little bit longer, but I also want to do the catchier stuff catchier, you know. So I'm trying, and then also because we had some success with Repeat-On, so I think Johan and Marco and Tobias might think, we have the formula, let's go. Let's do number 3. And then when I will give them my demos, maybe they will be, are you sure about this, Sebastian? And the last time I listened to them, and now I still have to be a little bit of a boss about it if we're going to steer away from it. So
of course,
that's where I am right now. So a lot of contemplation, a lot of thinking, how, and you know, but also a lot of writing. So we have like 4 or 5 songs already, but I think I have to reshape them.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's what the drawing board's for.
Yeah.
I gotta say it though. One of the big standouts for Repeat-On, you said it, is like there's the repetition in the right areas. I fucking love stuff like that, and you smashed it, hit it out of the park. There's so many great moments on there, and I was hoping that like you would say something about like going back down there again, or doing more of like improving on it. Like there's a strength in there for sure, man. Like definitely explore that.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't sure when we released Repeat-On, and I listened to my music. They are for my ears to the day when it's released. But when it's out there and I listen to it, then I hear it with different ears. Then I hear it with the critics' ears, and then I would listen to it, and I was like, oh shit, I did this riff 8 times too much. This song is 3 minutes too long, and I almost panicked. What the fuck have I done? This should be 3-minute songs, and all the songs are 7 minutes, and I was like terrified, and I thought I did this wrong. This was the wrong move. But now I felt no, it was the right move. But because you get the music stops being yours, and you don't trust your ears anymore when people gives you constant feedback, and the feedback you get from your own controlled channels are always good. But when someone else shares, I mean, through my YouTube channel or Central Media YouTube channel, there will be fans of black metal, maybe fans of your band, and they will say, Sebastian's new song are great. But when it spreads outside of my control, then people will have something that I interpret as more honest opinions, because they don't have to be nice. If you want to be in my feed, you have to be nice to me, because otherwise I will block you out. I don't want you in my feed. Yeah, but you don't have to be that. And then when you read, boring. I mean, why the fuck does he do this? And why does he have 2 bands? This sounds exactly like Necrophobics. No use for this at all. And then I'm like, well, this is the truth, because this is not said on my channel, so this must be the truth. Of course, it's not. But you get fragile in a way when it's out of your control. And
absolutely, and your brain grows. Human psyche is geared to go towards the negative stuff once shit is out of your control. it doesn't matter what it is. And when it's out, like for it, specifically for you, when it's out there, absolutely. I'm like that too. I'm guilty of that. Like, but what you did in the moment from building it to finishing it is why it went, is what it's supposed to be. And there's a trick in there and trying to be like, you know, once it's out there, it's done and you can learn from it. But, the doubt is a real thing, man. And like when, like you said, your controlled channels are over and then it's internet forum time, you'll get the harsh feedback. Like it takes something in you to be able to recognize that for what that is. And it is in you, because you just said that you're like, you know what? No, this is the way it was supposed to be. And you know, and that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's, I always say that I write the music for myself because I like to be in the creative space and the creative state, and when I do that, I don't think about what you will think about it. So that is the truth. But when I doubt, when I see the reactions out there, then I feel like, did I really write this for myself, or did I write this because I wanted positive feedback? You know, it awakens something in you that makes you think, who are you really? So, but I mean, of course, I'm both. As much as I want it, as much as I would like to not be affected about people's opinions, still, as a human being, I am.
You're human.
I mean, but I try to fight it, you know, but I am.
Well, it's okay to feel that way. I mean, again, it's a natural way of existing. We're all wired similarly in the same way, like that. Like we want it all to be great, but sometimes it's not. It just takes again, I've been saying it before, but like reflection and growth to be able to know what it is, not just when it was happening, but after the fact. Yeah, and that's how, in my opinion, people should, you know, strive to operate. It's easier said than done for lots, I'm sure, but. Yeah. Man, you're providing a lot of insight into this, not just the album, but just like you as a human, man. Like, I'm really happy that we got to like kind of chop it up like this. I don't have any. So I have another question for you, but it's not necessarily a music one. You and you've talked about this in a couple of other interviews, and it hit home to me because I'm almost about to make the same jump. Is that, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your sobriety. I've been saying for the last couple of years that this is something that I need to do, and it's not in the way of my life or the way that I'm growing as a person. In the terms of it getting away of like a career or whatever, things are great on paper, but I've always felt that this is something that I need to address, and I'm at that point where it's about to happen. And so I was wondering, like, was there a tipping point for you when you said like enough is enough and this needs to go down? And now that you've been into it, is there any advice on how to like stay on that, not fall off? Like I have obviously anxiety about missing it, not so much in a social aspect, man, but like that's always, it's such a construct in today's society that like there's going to be elements missing, and while I can operate socially and I don't need that sort of liquid lubricant or whatever, there's a part of me that's just struggling to like get to that final bit, and I'm just hoping, since you've had success in doing that, like what would you like? How's it been?
I mean, there's a couple of different things to say about it, but I think the most important thing about going sober when you have not been for a long time, you know, a drinking problem or a drinking habit is not about how much you drink. It's about you feel that you have, it affects your life in some way. It can be once a year and it still be a problem. But the thing I like most about it is that what I feel and explore now is is life number two. I mean, alcohol stops time. It stops development, and it takes you like a wheel backwards to the place you were before, and you have all these hopes and dreams, and you start to build on something. And then alcohol just takes you back years or months or a whole life all the time. You can never get past that point. It's like Groundhog Day, it just over and over. And I think by breaking that habit, you have to face all these things that you told me now that you have anguish about, or you don't know how it will be. You will have to face that without the comfort of alcohol. And that is life number two, because you will face these things like a child again, like with the splendor for the first time. And if you can near that with the same fear, but also excitement as a child has when he does ride a bike for the first time, or go to a party for the first time, or meet a girlfriend for the first time, when you do life from now without alcohol, you will be more in that state. And that is so cool. And you get so much energy. You have absolutely no anguish for chemical reasons, and you begin to see colors. And I mean, it takes 8 or 9 months before your body, even with moderate drinking, before your body is at full potential again. And if you add exercise and sleep and good food on that, then you will just be better and better. But for me, that's the biggest motivation to stay sober, because you already have the other life. Why not have two lives in a life? Why are you satisfied with just one? Have two. I mean, of course that's better. And for me, it was a tipping point when everything crashed. I had made a career at work, so I was working as a boss, and I had a lot of people under me. I had a good salary. I had quite successful bands, but nothing made me happy except for doing these kind of things with a little bit of alcohol. But I could not really feel that strong happiness without a couple of beers. It was one time I was out with my kids here. We had moved into a new house, and the summer was coming on. The grass was green. The kids were happy. Oh, we want to go out and play with you, Dad. And I went out with them in this new era, this new place, this new house. And I felt nothing, and that scared the shit of me. Why? But at the same time, at the evening when we had a barbecue, 2 beers, then I felt, oh, having a new house, this is great. That was the first scare. And then
Yeah, there's something
alcohol
there.
stopped giving me a boost. All of a sudden, I didn't feel anything on alcohol either. And then I just swapped my whole life. My wife, that was Freudian. Uh, no, but I had a divorce. I quit my bands. I even took some time off my best friends. And when I met my wife that I have now, I we, when you meet someone and you're in love, then you can drink because you're so happy. You have beers together, and you make love all
Mm-hmm.
night long and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
I just saw at the moment that, wait, now I have made all these other changes. I have this really nice, happy person that wants to be with me. But why am I drinking? Why am I still using? Because I don't need this boast. This only brings me down. And then I also realized uh, how much of a slave I was under. Even if it was just a habit on a Thursday to have 3 beers, I was still a
Yeah.
slave under those three
Yeah, it's
beers.
still, yeah, yep, I know what you mean.
And then we decided together, both me and my new wife, that let's quit this. We didn't say for how long, but I mean, now it's 9 years or something. And at first we said 6 months, and then it just went on longer. And then there were so many benefits for not drinking. But one thing you will lose is the long night discussions. You can hang out with people that drink for 2-3 hours, but
And then
I
that's it.
don't know
Yeah.
how social you are. Maybe you're a very social guy, but I
I am
feel
very social.
then maybe you don't have a problem. But for me, after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, then I lose interest really.
Well, drunken conversations when there's excess poured on top of it, they're not the best conversations anyhow. And while I can hang out, and again, I don't need the social lubricant. I can talk to anybody, and I do. I don't need that with the alcohol. But like if I'm in a room full of people who have been drinking and I've been having none, I'm just going to want to leave because I'm not on the same level. And that's not that isn't like that's a zero. Like I'm not worried about that. That's not that doesn't concern me. Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. But you did say that like it's like my use of the drug is seldom. I work in an industry where it's commonplace, and I've gone so far as to not have it get out of control. And it's not bingy, but like I go back to that. And when my schedule is so busy, like 7 days of work a week busy for weeks on end, whenever there is some time off, I will, instead of being social or doing something for me, I will throw some beers on that, and then I waste that time. And over the years, like I've changed my diet. I exercise regularly. I've made a lot of positive changes. But this has always been the last thing, which has lasted the longest in my life in terms of, I'll say it, abuse. And then, but like, it's just been, I feel like it's the last big step, you know what I mean? It's the last one. And then I can truly be the best that I need to be. And through listening to your interviews and other people who I've known sober too, like I got to ask these questions because it's getting time. I know it's time, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's, I mean, there's no stimuli or drug there's no way of giving your body extra energy or extra happiness. What all drugs do is they let you borrow happiness and energy from tomorrow. There's no pill you can take that has extra hours in it. It will just let you take hours from Sunday and put it on Saturday. I mean, and when you realize that there's no magic potion that gives you more, it's only you're in debt. Always in debt, and that when I realized that to the full, then I didn't even want to drink one glass of wine because I knew that is 1 hour from tomorrow that I will not get back. That I better do something of this, and also, I mean, going back to kids again. I mean, you don't really need these kind of drugs to have a good time. I mean, we're born with the abilities of having a good time without drugs, you know, and then we destroy it with drinking. So I think going back to that kind of clean way of seeing life, or you can trust that what you feel is real.
It's real.
I mean, yeah, that is something that is good. I think it's honest.
Exactly. And you got to be honest with yourself if you're going to have an honest life, and the people around you got to get the most authentic version of you. So I think I'm going to have to rewatch this a couple of times before I make that decision, because man, like that's I didn't expect you to say that kind of like that. So me, and on behalf of me and whoever really wants to, you know, make that jump, man, like thank you. Like I really do appreciate that.
I try not to. I mean, I'm not trying to put on other people what I have done. I did this because I needed it, but still, I mean, if you want to know why, or if you have the same thoughts, then it's, of course it's good to share. But I don't want to be that guy that the party pooper, so to speak. I mean,
oh man, you're not preaching. You're like you make decisions like stopping drinking, making albums because it benefited you, and like you were only you, and people get to quitting drinking or not quitting drinking on their own path, right? And there's no, I detected zero preachiness or everyone should be sober in this conversation at all. This is just a personal, I had a question for you because I would love to hear it. And you answered it honestly. And that's all I could ask for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sebastian, that's all I got for you, man. Thank you very much for chatting with me. This is a great conversation, man. If whenever the third Aphelion album comes down and you want to have another chat about it, like the welcome mat's right there for you.
Of course, I will. Great talking to you too. And this was a different interview. I really liked it.
I did too. I'm glad that we both got something out of it, man. So you be safe and live your best life, and I will talk to you soon, man.
Same to you. Have a good time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you too. Take care.